Hey there. So, wanted to come on and talk more about this article that I just saw posted by my close friend about something maybe you've been wondering too. Is the pandemic ruining our bodies? This article from The Atlantic that I saw today said the pandemic is ruining your body, and feels really dramatic, but perhaps a lot of us feel true in various ways that we're just noticing our bodies feeling. And this article was pointing out that lots of people and even practitioners, doctors, reporting that more than ever pain conditions have gone up, mental health issues have increased, and this concern over what the pandemic life, for many of us anyways, especially those of us who have been staying home more, have been sitting around more, have been moving less, right? What sort of impact is that having on our bodies? So that's what I wanted to come talk about. This article that I just saw posted about the pandemic is ruining your body. So this felt easy for me to talk about because this is a lot of what I learned about when I got to go through not only my yoga training over 20 years ago, but about 10 years ago, going through postural therapy training, where I was specifically learning to help people get out of chronic pain issues of all sorts, including the pain conditions talked about in this article, like back pain of all sorts, neck pain, wrist pain, hand pain, hip pain, knee pain, foot pain. So in my learning years ago about how to solve these things, I started to hear about this truth that this article is bringing up, this truth that too much sitting around, too little movement can ruin our bodies and does have a really poor effect on the body in various ways. And here's some of how is what I've learned. And so I want to share that with you, but I also want to share the good news that I've learned really early on here, that I've also learned that whatever has happened to the body, whatever the pandemic has done to your body, if it's had some form of ruin on your body, I've also learned and seen and witnessed and experienced how everything and just about anything is so changeable with the body. So bringing in that hope and knowing right away that if we're willing to take the right daily action in the right specific and even gentle and importantly careful ways, especially the more that the pandemic has ruined our bodies, the more that sitting around and lack of motion and lack of nature, right, and too much technology, what those things can do to us and start to have that sense and form of ruin on us that we might be feeling in various ways that aren't feeling great, right? But the good news I want to tell you right away is that it's all actually super fixable and changeable and solvable wherever we're at, however old we are, how long this is going on, it doesn't matter. It's fixable and changeable with the right approach, which I'm here to offer. I'm so thankful to report. But yeah, some of what I learned in my training about postural therapy, how to take care of the posture, how to realign a posture that has gotten out of alignment, which is the cause for, yes, most pain issues, it turns out. So yeah, what this pandemic has done for a lot of us who've been sitting around more and moving less, just like what I learned about years ago, the impacts of too much sitting, not enough moving, which most of us, even if we're people who are trying to exercise each day, are still moving a lot less than, first of all, a lot less than the human body is designed to move. We're really built to move, and movement's super important in how our body functions. And when we look at things like our ancestors, thousands of years ago, we see that humans were built to move, and that our ancestors used to be on the move much of the day, like 5 or 6 hours a day, walking, moving as they were migrating, right, and just having that lifestyle. So more and more humans have moved less and less. And so nowadays in our culture, even before the pandemic, most of us sitting way more than we should. And unfortunately, sitting in various ways has an impact in various ways, which we've been hearing about from even the Western doctors for a while now. But part of what I learned, which makes it easier to understand, is that the human body is also built to respond to whatever we present it with. So it also will take the shape, literally, of whatever position we put it in day after day. So if we're doing a lot of sitting, if we're doing a lot of motions and actions that can create that, right, that rounding, that forward head motion, yes, that includes looking at our phones, right? But also the ways that we can sit, whether we're sitting on a chair, sitting on the bed, sitting on the floor, sitting on a couch, right? Unfortunately, it puts us in a position often that's very rounded, right? For the upper back, neck, and shoulders. Also really changes the position of the hips to help and start problems in the hips, which most of us have going on, and is really where the root of a lot of the problems are that are happening with our pain issues, even neck and shoulders, definitely hip pain, all sorts of back pain, and even things like foot and knee pain. Hand and wrist pain is related to what's happening in those hips. So yes, part of it's because those hips are getting repositioned, realigned, and out of alignment because of the sitting and the positions we're putting our body in. Neck and shoulders are getting rounded, out of alignment, maybe a little twisted and torqued in other ways too, which really what the thinking is here, the knowing is here, is that the human body is built to be in a certain sense of alignment. And yes, structural alignment, postural alignment. So that's where, yeah, we always hear stand up straight, sit up straight as the answer. But it's actually not in our intentionally, consciously trying to sit up and stand up straight. Because when we do that, we tend to recruit some of the wrong muscles and create more pain. So really the answer is doing some things like specific exercises, like what I've learned in my postural therapy, especially to help people get out of chronic pain issues, because that pain, so with this pandemic, with our sitting around, with our lack of motion, our bodies have started to change shape, literally. Our postures have changed, right? And the posture plays a big role in how the body functions and how the body feels and how the body's able to run and jump and play. And unfortunately, that sitting around has gotten us out of alignment and also weak, right? And tight, right? In those muscles, which all goes with what the body is just doing to make sense of the current stimulus or lack of stimulus, right? And so the body really changing shape, getting into a different sense of alignment, which goes with how we're feeling. If we're feeling more pain stuff, if we're feeling excess weight, other issues, and even what's happening with us mentally, emotionally, right? It has a lot to do with how we're doing physiologically. And some of the other things we get from worlds like yoga, in even just knowing it's when it's time to rest, and even things like closing our eyes and being in nature, right, as ways to just balance out some of those effects of what, say, this pandemic is doing for us. So, yes, when I see this article out there now about the pandemic is ruining our bodies, right, for a lot of us, and yeah, the lack of motion, lack of movement, increased sitting, having its impact, having its effect, right, and has potentially probably changed our postures, changed our alignment, gotten us weaker, right? And maybe we've lost or gained weight, whatever, how our body manifests with these things. But then it's important also that we respond smartly and carefully, because unfortunately also on the other side, things are always changeable and fixable, yes, but it's with the right careful therapy. Because for a lot of us, if we now take this posture, this rounded posture, these out of alignment hips, this weakness, these imbalances that are probably going on in the body now, if we go take that into just a general regular exercise routine, we're very likely to hurt ourselves, unfortunately. And that's where we kind of get this idea of weekend warrior, right? Or like when we go out there and we start the routine and then suddenly something starts hurting, or some reason our body gives us an indicator it's too much. We might think we're just being lazy, but we don't do it. But it's also maybe because our body's letting us know it's not appropriate to just jump into any old exercise program or even any old yoga class, because believe it or not all yoga is safe for our current body. And I would propose that for most of us, it's going to be smartest and safest to use something like yoga, which is what we're using with this postural therapy, exercises that we can use in the form of yoga, but doing it carefully and specifically in making sure you're using the right exercises to take care of your posture and your body and make sure you don't hurt anything. Because unfortunately, yes, that's the other unfortunate truth about that pandemic and how it's affected our bodies. And if we've been sitting around and moving less, is it has also made us more vulnerable to injury. So if we're not already hurting in chronic pain ways just from the alignment issues going on now and that posture that just does not feel good for the body, but also if we now go and try to go into the gym, say, or lift weights with that posture, or go on a run, unfortunately, that's often when a lot of our pain issues get worse or even start, is because when we take an out of alignment posture out into regular exercises, it can be very dangerous actually. So that's why I learned in my work with getting people out of chronic pain and how to really attend to posture, but that it can be as simple as starting with the right specific gentle exercises for you that are going to help to start realigning that posture and taking care of the effects that pandemic's been having on your body from all the sitting, from the lack of motion. So yes, giving you more motion, but it needs to be the right motion for your body. And then once you're willing to do some of this specific therapy to take care of what's happened to the body, then more and more you can feel free to go out in the world and do whatever you want with your body and feel more free to run, jump, and play for a lifetime, right? And so you can undo the effects of the pandemic. You can. And no matter whether you're 26 or 46 or 76 or 96, my oldest client was 96 years old. And I've seen amazing things change with things like posture, which is a lot of what that article was talking about, how this pandemic has ruined our posture, right? And so if we can just see that it's really just about the right daily careful therapy, which I'm so fortunate that I've been able to learn and am here to offer, but just wanted to help you understand more that that's how somehow the pandemic may be ruining our bodies, but also somehow we can fix it is with the right approach, right? And I'm here to help. So hope that illustrates it a little for you, and reach out if I can help you in any other ways, okay? Be well out there. Namaste.